So it's been a long time since I made an AKM build. Like the last one I made was in September when they made a bunch of changes to the barrels and stuff like that. And a couple of viewers asked me, or commenters rather, asked me if I could do a refreshed AKM build. And that is exactly what I did over the weekend. And I think I have something really freaking solid to share with all of you today. But let's get right into it. So I have the fiery owl skin here because I had like a bunch of tickets left over. So I just went ahead and bought the bundle, but I digress. So we're going to start off with the barrel. Now, the AKM is one of the weapons that you have the most options for, like alongside like the M4A1 and stuff like that. So you have 6 different types of barrels here, and I opted to go for the AKM Beaver long barrel combo. Now this gives you a combination of extra range, extra control, extra stability at the cost of handling and accuracy. We're building this weapon for it to be very powerful at like medium-ish range to longer ranges. It still obviously performs very well at close range because you're doing really high damage per shot to the chest, but we're going to go with the AKM Beaver long barrel combo. For the muzzle device, I tried a few different ones here. The AKM does kick like an absolute mule, and I really wanted to mitigate that horizontal recoil, which is why I went with the advanced multi-caliber suppressor. This one just gives you a bunch of like stats here, you know, extra firing stability, extra firing camera stability, strong gunshot suppression, and that extra range, which is really nice. So install that. For the foregrip, we're going to go with the best one here to mitigate recoil, and it's the X25U angled combat grip. It's still consistently the best foregrip if you want to really mitigate the recoil of a weapon, so install that. For the mag, and I've spoken about this in the past, I've been like kind of shying away from extended magazines for a couple of reasons. I reload a lot, and these ones really reduce your stats, including the firing stability, which is really not ideal, and it obviously makes the reload time lengthier as well. And for the most part, I play a lot of King of the Hill, so I just opted to go for the AKM 30 round polymer mag, which gives you a nice bump of 6 in handling. And the AKM does do a ton of damage per shot, so you need a lot less bullets to actually kill enemies. Then obviously put on the mag assist on here. There's no penalties. For the rear grip, you don't have a ton of options here. I just chose to go for the AK heavy tower grip because it has that extra slot for me to put the stable grip base on there. For the, not the stock pad, for the actual stock, I went with the PT1. It's down here somewhere. All these stocks kind of look alike. It's called the PT1 Spec Ops stock, and I glanced over it right here. So this one gives you a nice +6 control and a little bit of handling. Costs you some stability, but we're at that point of getting negative, like, you know, diminishing returns on those points anyways, so it's not the end of the world. For the charging handle, no downsides here, so just equip that. For the optic, I just opted to go for the VMX frameless sight, which is my favorite one. And then for these three patches here, the upper one, I went with the KC Hound handguard panel to get 8 right on the dot for the stability. And then both of these, I just went with a Ranger handguard panel to bump up the control even more. For the calibration of the weapon, starting off with the barrel, plus 50 grams, -10mm to get extra ADS speed, extra firing stability. You did put a muzzle, so a suppressor on here, which does increase the muzzle velocity. For the foregrip, we're going to go with +2 slots, -20mm, extra control, extra ADS movement speed. For the rear grip, plus 50 grams and -20mm, extra control, extra hip firing speed. For the stock that looks really funky with this skin, we're going with plus 50 grams and -50mm, extra control, extra hip firing speed. And then for the optic, -20mm in eye relief. So looking at these stats for the AKM with this barrel, now certain barrels actually change the damage model of the AKM, most notably the performance barrel that already has like the wooden furniture on it and the wooden foregrip. So looking at the details here, doing a massive 34 damage per shot, which is crazy. Now the rest of the damage here is 26, so it can require 4 shots to kill if you are getting shots in the limbs or the stomach. But if you're getting those chest shots, you are just downing people so freaking quick. Even at medium range, even at ranges at which the weapon isn't doing max damage, it just deletes people off the map like almost instantaneously. You do a short burst of a couple of rounds and the person's more than likely dead, and then you're doing 49 damage to the head, which is really nice as well. Now unfortunately, if you're doing 49 damage to the head, you still need 2 chest shots, so it's not really reducing the time to kill or the bullets required to kill a target, but it's still getting you that extra damage, and if the person is already damaged, then you might kill them in 1 shot. For the control, we put a massive 34 here, and you can see the pattern is still somewhat wonky. Again, the weapon kicks like an absolute mule, but we did our best to really mitigate that, and it feels pretty good to shoot. For the handling, we lost 11, but we kept a pretty respectable ADS speed of 367 milliseconds. For the stability, we bumped it up by +8 to get that lens stability while firing of 0.3x, and then the accuracy, exactly how it is base really wasn't the main focus of this weapon, because you want to be using this weapon at a little bit like, 15, 20, 30 meters, which is really where it shines. Now, in order to use this AKM build, you'll need to level it up to 86, which is basically at the end of the progression for this weapon. So if you have any spare weapon XP tokens, use them. And you'll also need to unlock the VMX frameless sight via the armory. Now, I was playing as Tempest while using the AKM because you can play incredibly aggressive with Tempest, and you also have that basically extra life with the emergency evasion device. But I was doing just fantastic with the AKM at that medium-ish range engagement distance. It was just chef's kiss. Like, there's a reason why you see so many people using the AKM, and people have like 100 firearm star rating on this thing, because the weapon just slaps. It has been consistently good for a long time, and then when they started changing the damage model on it for some of the barrels, and they increased the chest damage from whatever it was before, I think it was 26 to now 34, it makes the weapon even better. It doesn't shoot particularly fast, but it really doesn't change all that much. But because you're doing so much damage per shot, the TTK on this thing is like the fastest TTK out of any weapon in the game, except like the Ash 12 with the Tomahawk barrel that's doing 50 damage per shot to the chest. But yeah, the AKM is a fantastic weapon, and if you haven't used it in a while, maybe give it another go with this build. I promise it is overall pretty easy to control, and I think that's one of the biggest downsides of the AKM is the recoil pattern on it. It can be very, very hard to tame, but I think I did something pretty decent here that makes it really viable even at those longer ranges, which is where you want to fight anyways, but I'm talking about even further than what I said initially. You can still beam people pretty freaking reliably with this build. But I'll stop rambling about the AKM and how much I love it. There'll be the share code in the description down below, as well as in the top pinned comment. In any case, I'll leave you with a few highlight clips of me using the specific build. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.
Anchor down!